If you're looking for an easy stitch that looks impressive but is actually really easy, try the block stitch. This is a really easy 2-row repeat that uses single crochets and US double crochets and chains. Once you get the repeat pattern, it works out really quickly and gives a lovely mosaic style pattern. And it's perfect for things like blankets, scarves, and other types of projects. As always, I'll be using US crochet terms, but I will put the UK equivalent up on the screen as well. Today I'm using a worsted weight cotton and acrylic mix of yarn and a 4.5mm hook, but try experimenting, use a different hook size and yarn type. Okay, start by making your slip knot in your preferred method. When you're ready, insert your hook. For our foundation chain, we'll do the chain in multiples of 3 plus 1. All that means is that you'll keep chaining 3 until you get to the width that you want for your project. And then once you've reached the width that you want, we'll add 1 extra chain. In this example, I'm going to do 24 chains and then I'll add 1 extra. So in total, I'll have 25 chains. So feel free to pause the video here and I'll see you once you've done your foundation chain. So I've now done my multiple of 3, so I've got 24 chains and then I'll add 1 extra, so I have 25. To start row 1, we're going to go into that second chain from the hook, just right here, and we'll place a single crochet. So insert your hook, pull through a loop, so you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. In the next chain along here, we'll add another single crochet. Now chain 2, 1, 2. And we're going to skip the next 2 chains, and in that third chain we'll place a single crochet. So skip, skip, in that third chain, place a single crochet. Now chain 2, 1, 2, and we'll repeat. So skip 1, 2, in that third chain, we'll place a single crochet. Chain 2, skip 1, 2, in that third chain, place a single crochet. Go ahead and keep repeating this pattern for the length of the row, and I'll see you towards the end and I'll show you how to finish the row. Feel free to pause the video here. We're now at the end of the row and we've got 4 chains left, just right here. So chain 2, 1, 2, skip 1, 2, in that third chain, place a single crochet. And you'll have 1 chain left and you'll place a single crochet in that very last chain. And we've done row 1. To start row 2, chain 1 and then turn your work. And this is what it starts to look like. So for the start of row 2, we've chained 1 and that chain 1 just acts as a turning chain. And we want to work a double crochet into that very first stitch just right here. Go ahead and yarn over, insert your hook into that very first stitch, pull through a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. In that chain 2 space just right here, we'll work 3 double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through a loop, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. So that's stitch 1, go back into the same space, stitch 2, and remember, if you're using UK terms, this is called a treble crochet, and that's stitch 3. In the next chain 2 space here, we'll work another 3 doubles. So that's stitch 1, stitch 2, and stitch 3. In the next chain 2 space, work 3 double crochets. So essentially for row 2, you are simply placing 3 double crochets into each chain 2 space. So go ahead and keep repeating this until you get to the end of row 2. Feel free to pause the video here. I'm now at the end of my row. I've got one chain 2 space left to work into, so I'll work my 3 doubles. Stitch 1, 2 and 3. And we've got 2 stitches left. We'll skip that single crochet, and in the very last stitch we'll work a double crochet. That last stitch can curl over slightly, so make sure you go under both loops and work your double. And we've done 2 rows. To start row 3, chain 1 and then turn your work. So I'll class the first 2 rows as our setup rows, and from row 3 to row 4 is our 2 row repeat. Our chain 1 is just a turning chain, and we want to place a single crochet into that very first stitch just right here. Go ahead and work your single crochet. If you're using UK crochet terms, this is called a double crochet. Now chain 2, 1, 2. And we're going to work in between those groups of 3 stitches, just right here, and place a single crochet. Go ahead and work your single. Now chain 2, 1, 2, and in between the next 2 groups of 3 stitches, place a single crochet just right here. Go ahead and work your single. Now chain 2, 1, 2. Work your next single in between your groups of 3 stitches and chain 2. So keep repeating this pattern of working your single crochet in between your groups of 3 stitches and chaining 2 until you get to the end of row 3, and I'll show you how to finish the row. Feel free to pause the video here. I'm at the end of my row, just got 1 space to work into, so I'm just going to chain 2. In that last space, I'm going to work a single crochet. And in that very last stitch, which is curling over slightly, I'm going to place another single crochet. And that's the end of row 3. To start row 4, chain 1 and then turn your work. And remember that chain 1 acts as just a turning chain. To start row 4, we'll place a double crochet into that very first stitch. Yarn over and insert your hook. Pull through a loop, pull 3, 2, and then pull 3, 2. Now we want to place 3 doubles into those chain 2 spaces just right here. And you might just need to stretch those stitches just to find your chain 2 space. So go ahead and yarn over and work your 3 doubles. Remember, if you're using UK terms, these are called treble crochets. So that's stitch 1, 2, and 3. In the next chain 2 space along, work 3 doubles. So just right here. Stitch 1, 2, and 3. So essentially for this row, we're just going to repeat this pattern and work 3 doubles into each chain 2 space along until we get to the end of the row. So feel free to pause the video here and I'll show you how to end row 4. I'm now at the end of my row. I've got one last chain 2 space to work into, so I'll just work my last 3 doubles. That's stitch 1, 2, and 3. And at the end you will have 1 stitch left, which can sometimes curl over slightly, so that it is just right here. And we'll work 1 double crochet into that very last stitch. And that's the end of row 4. To start row 5, chain 1 and turn your work. And you'll start row 5 by working a single crochet into that very first stitch right here. And we're going back to repeating rows 3 and 4 until you reach the length that you want for your project. So go ahead and keep repeating those 2 rows, and I'll see you towards the end and I'll show you how to fasten off. Feel free to pause the video here. So I'm now ready to fasten off. I've worked a few more rows and I've got one last stitch to work into, so I'll work my double crochet, and I'm finishing my stitch pattern where I've worked my double crochets into the chain 2 spaces. And to fasten off, just chain 1, cut your yarn, and then pull that tail end through. And congrats, you've now done the block stitch. In this example, I've just worked up a few more rows. As always, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching all the way through. If you want to help my channel grow, hit that like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And yeah, I'll see you later.